Okay, here are 3 more examples like I promised you, and these ones you are just going to need to be a little bit more careful. So don't factor these until you've done 3 things. Well, 2 things on the first 2, but you'll want to make sure you do 3 things on the next one. So the 3 things are, you should know these, but just in case you forgot, write it in descending order. Look to see if there's a greatest common factor. If there's a greatest common factor, factor it out first. And always, if you've got a leading negative, make sure you factor out that leading negative. Do these on your own if you can. If not, I'll be doing them for you as soon as you restart the video. Okay, so here's our first one. First thing we want to do, write it in descending order. Very good. The next thing we want to do, don't just start to factor right now. Always, the very first step of factoring is to factor out the greatest common factor. Everybody has a 2, so I factor out the 2. That leaves me with z squared for the first term, 2z for the second term, and 99 for the last term. All right, now what do I know about the signs? Okay, 99 is negative. That means I have 1 of each. I have a z plus and a z minus. What would my choices be? Any 2 numbers that multiply to give me 99. So it could be 1 and 99, but I just know that's not going to work, so I didn't list it. 3 and 33 or 9 and 11. Let's put in the 3 and the 33 first. Outside would give me negative 33z. Inside would give me 3z. That doesn't give me the 2z that I want, so that does not work. Okay, let's try the next pair, 9 and 11. Outside would give me negative 11z. Inside would give me 9z. That gives me negative 2z. I want positive 2z, so what do? Okay, I keep the 9 and 11. I just change the signs. So I have the 2. I have that 2 because I factored it out. Z minus 9 and z plus 11. All right, we'll go on to the next example. Okay, 50w squared plus 5w to the 4th minus 35w cubed. Don't forget descending order first. Very good. And also, see if there's a greatest common factor. Everybody has a 5, and everybody has at least 2 w's. So I factor out 5w squared. The thing left over from the first term is a w squared. The thing left over from the second term is a 7w. And the thing left over from the last term is just a 10. Always take a second to check yourself by multiplying that 5w squared, by multiplying that GCF, back through to make sure you've done it right. And it does check. All right, now I look at my signs. 10 is positive. That means I either have 2 positives or 2 negatives. How do I know which one? I look at my middle term. I look at the negative 7. So I have 2 negatives. My choices are any numbers that multiply to give me 10. So 1 and 10 are 2 and 5. If I put in 1 and 10, outside is negative 10w, inside is negative 1w, that gives me negative 11w, and that's not what I want. If I put in 2 and 5, outside gives me negative 5w, inside gives me negative 2w, that's negative 7w. That's exactly what I want. So my answer is 5w squared times w minus 2 times w minus 5. Okay, now for our last example in this little segment, don't forget to factor out a leading negative. So the first thing I do is write it in descending order. If you ever have a leading negative, you want to factor it out. If you don't factor it out, the signs you choose for your factoring will be completely wrong. Because if we look up at that top line, it says negative 35. That would make me think that I want 1 positive and 1 negative, but I don't. So make sure that you're factoring out your leading negatives. You can just leave it out front. Now look at the signs. 35 is positive. So I want 2 positive signs because I look at the 12. That tells me that it's 2 positives instead of 2 negatives. My choices would be 5 and 7 or 1 and 35. So I'll try the 5 and 7 first. and that gives me 7y plus 5y. That gives me the 12y I want. So my answer is y plus 5 times y plus 7, but I want to make sure I have that negative out front. Okay, the next video will tell you what to do if a is not equal to 1. In other words, if the coefficient in front of your squared variable is something other than 1.